know, kids.
There was a Fafita, wasn't there?
Jowett, Fafita, Mason Caton Brown, and the fourth player escapes me.
See, this is where Joe Reg lets me down. How motivated is David Fafita turfing out at Scotland for Dewsbury? Really? Now, this isn't an indictment necessarily of the whole system, but there are certain players that this is bollocks for. He'd be better off playing a reserve game to get some match fitness up, because at least he'll give
Keegan Hurst was the final player in there. They're using it to get people. Using it to get these players match practice ahead of the season. It does a disservice on the whole idea of the system.
Of course it does.
To be doing it like that, because these players clearly aren't ready to be playing yet. Dewsbury weren't going to turn down David Fafita, were they now?
Of course not.
But obviously Rochdale, you've got to give them massive credit. I've seen the highlights of this game. You know, they started with some sort of close to the line stuff, but then they were just breaking them at will, and scoring some long range exciting tries. Breaks down the middle, breaks out wide. It looked like the complete sort of finishing off.
We've got Rochdale next weekend, and this was one of the games I was looking at going, well, we need to win that one. And then what do you do against a team that's just beaten Dewsbury 46-0?
Well, or does it make you question how good Dewsbury might be this year? But the Oldham win as well. I mean, they've caught Sheffield at the right time. Sheffield have only just started to recruit, really, in a weird sort of way, and that's got them in a position now where the squad weren't ready for the start of the season, you would suggest, and Oldham being a squad that was together, and they'll count this as a bonus. You would think in 2 months' time Oldham might have been a closer run thing. So great stuff for Oldham and for the two promoted sides there, Rochdale and Toulouse. Getting on to the game that I went to then.
Tell us about your experience at Swinton.
Well, it was all right. There's just reasonable facilities down there at Sale, where Swinton are playing now, and it did feel like it was. I was speaking to some of the Swinton fans, and they were saying that it feels like it's their home ground. It doesn't feel just like it's someone else's ground that they turf up and play. It probably helps that the Sale FC colours are blue and white, so it fits with their colours. It was quite busy in the bar beforehand. There was a few fans commenting saying, it looks like it's going to be a decent crowd and stuff. I think the crowd in the end was let me see, I'll find it somewhere. 603, but there's a small patch of London supporters, and then it was decent.
Swinton were on for the win as well at one point.
Well, throughout the game, really, they were ahead. They were ahead throughout. The only time they trailed was with 3 or 4 minutes to go. It was when Harrison scored the try, which was a bit of a soft effort, breaking, sort of scattering the markers and going through the middle of them, and it did a disservice to the great goal line defence that Swinton had put up for most of the second half. I went more to watch the two Wigan kids that were on dual race. They had Tom Davies on the wing and Liam Forsyth inside him at centre. They faced up against the Purtell and Dixon wing for London. And they did well. They scored. Forsyth scored 2 tries. Davies scored a try as well. Davies nearly created something for himself right at the end that would have won the game, but the ball just bounced on one hop too long, and Elliot Keir cleaned it up, and London were able to.
Oh, Crabby! I've missed Crabby.
Were able to hold on, but it was a really entertaining and exciting game, and I was rooting for Swinton because of the Wigan connections there, and I rooted a bit more than I was anticipating I was going to, by the end. The referee came in for a lot of shit from the Swinton fans, most of it entirely unjustified. It was unbelievable. And like a Super League ground when everyone's moaning at the ref, the ref don't really know that people are moaning at him. But at a ground like that, a ground like Hayworth Road, the ref knows and the players know, and some of it beggared belief. It was absolutely ridiculous, some of it. But that's what these clubs use as their advantage, I suppose. But I thought the referee did all right. Swinton, though, did excellently. In the first half, they were reduced to 12 men at one point as well. A player basically came in as second man after London had made a break. The break was ended brilliantly by Jack Murphy, who had a great game at fullback. But a second player came in and stopped the player getting up, and basically it looked a little bit like a bit of a kerfuffle, a bit of an accident, but it was clearly deliberate, and London had a broken line to attack from 2 yards out and would have probably scored, and at that point they probably would have taken the lead. The player was sin-binned. The Swinton fans thought this was an absolute miscarriage of justice. But then as the game went on, I think they sort of showed that they realised they were calling for stuff that wasn't really to be called for, and they were a good bunch of Swinton fans, and I enjoyed it. But some really strong performances for London. It was Eddie Batty in the second half in particular, who he just seemed to carry the ball so strongly, had so much space to operate in from the back row position, and that kept giving them good field position. And the key crucial moment, I think, was a last tackle play where Swinton got caught on the last tackle about 40 metres out from the Broncos line. There was a turnover of possession, and from that set, really, London were able to establish a position of sort of dominance.
Okay.
In the first half, London, when they had attacking opportunities, didn't seem to be making the right decisions. They were always focusing on one side of the pitch. They looked like they were trying to attack the two Wigan youngsters, and there was no change out of them two. So they were making mistakes, really.
Right.
But yeah, there was some good tries scored as well. Swinton's opening try by Robinson on the wing, Sean Robinson, who impressed me. I've never seen him play before. He was an enterprising character, and he scored a great try. That was a breakthrough in the middle. Jack Murphy put the centre through a gap, who went inside to Sarsfield, who then drew a couple of players. Looked like he'd bombed it, looked like he was going to get caught, and just at the last minute got the ball out to Robinson, who went over in the corner. It was a really good try from deep. Williams for London looks like an absolute monster at that level. He just looks like he's going to break the line at will, run over or pass people whenever he wants. It was an entertaining game to watch.
Fantastic.
Well, that Junior Rakika's a big lad.
Yeah, more than just hair on that kid, isn't there? Yeah. There you go. Well, we got some feedback on this one as well, which was wonderful to see. Macy, you got in touch with us, didn't you, Christopher? He said, it's Sunday, I'm pacing the kitchen and the missus has given up trying to talk to me for a couple of hours. The rugby is back and fuck me, it was a close one. Half time I was fuming. We had our compulsory slow start and then some poor discipline. Swinton, to their credit, were brilliant in attack, and at half time I would have said they deserved the win. A much more pleasing second half. Happy but only just. Come on, you Broncos. Paul Campbell got in touch. Said, from what I listened to, it was an exciting game. Got a bit hairy after 6 minutes, being 2 scores down, but belief took us over the line. There will be better and stronger teams to come. Hopefully the Broncos will get stronger. Must say, well played, Swinton. You didn't deserve to lose. Another London fan in Gatwood got in touch and said London came away from Swinton with a fortunate win against a very good Swinton side. Harrison scoring the winning try 5 minutes from the end. It was a gutsy performance, and a never say die attitude got them through, but fair play to Swinton. A good performance, and they will upset sides playing at Hayward Road this year. All sounds very fair and in line with what you have to say.
Yeah, I spotted Ian when London went over for their winning try. He was behind the sticks. He was like on his own, and he was like jumping up. It looked like he wasn't the only London fan there, but he seemed to have chosen to leave the group go round the behind the sticks, and
maybe he knew what was coming.
Down,
Maybe we need to tap into this a little bit more. Gatwood predictions and see what he can. For us.
There you go.
Every credit. It was the Auckland Nines this weekend, Mark. Now, again, I have to confess I didn't see a lot of this. I had a lot of it recorded, and lofty ambitions of watching loads of it of an evening when Aaron went to bed. It just didn't pan out that way for me. But the Roosters ended up winners. The semis were played out between the Panthers and the Eels, which the Panthers won 13-0. Then the Roosters beat the Storm 31 points to 16. And in the final, Roosters were 10-8 winners over the Penrith Panthers. So congratulations to Sydney Roosters.
Yeah, the only bit I haven't seen is the final, really. Well, there's some other games I missed, but between catching bits before I went to bed and bits on the replay before I did stuff the following days, both days, I saw most of the action. There was a young kid who played for the Cowboys who was absolutely lightning.
Ponga.
Ponga.
Kalen Ponga.
Yeah. He looks a talent.
Yeah. I thought he was on his way to Newcastle, I thought
for next year, yes, he is, but this year is, he's a talent, a game breaker. Maybe needs to build a bit of physique. But then, like, Latrell Mitchell, who was an important player for the Roosters, he looked almost too big now this year. Maybe lost half a step, but still was obviously good enough to help the Roosters win. Panthers didn't have a very senior side. It was a surprise that these two got into the final. I think I don't think either of them would have been tipped. The Storm played pretty well. They scored a absolutely crazy try. Was that the Cowboys player actually? Anyway, one of the players scored a try where he was knocking on and reached out his foot and tapped it through, and then managed to catch up to the ball, put it down, and that'll be in all the highlight reels and stuff. I can't remember.
Well, there'll be highlights back on YouTube that we can.
But there's plenty of highlights from the weekend. Pretty exciting stuff.
Fantastic. And one of the results to tell you about, Doncaster took on Hull FC, and it was Ethan O'Gorman who was kind enough to get in touch with us and let us know about that. He is at Ethan O'Gorman RL on Twitter.
Yeah, I believe this was Palliacina's testimonial, and we wouldn't have touched on it, but we didn't want Ethan's contribution to be missed out.
Well, it was Hull 38, Doncaster 18 at the Keepmoat, and Ethan said Doncaster showed very strong defensive elements. However, Hull's attack was much too strong in the end, as their experience on the pitch helped them. Fanua was critical in the game in scoring a try. Final result, Doncaster 18, Hull FC 38. So that is last weekend's results taken care of. Let's take a look now into the future as we bring you our predictions in association with Superbrew for round 1 of Super League. Okay, so in association with Superbrew, then we bring you our Super League pod predictions for round 1 of Super League. It's finally here, Mark. It's back. Super League is with us. And it starts on Thursday night as St Helens take on the Leeds Rhinos down at Langtree Park. What do you reckon?
Well, I reckon that they think that they're picking games from 2010 or something.
Seven grand finals from 2006 to about 2010, wasn't it? Yeah.
But other than that...
it's one for the traditionalist, isn't it? It's a Heartlanders game.
But I think it's going to be affected by weather conditions this week. Are going to be deteriorated as the week goes on. They're not great as it stands up here in the northwest. So I think that's going to have an influence on the pitch, maybe on the performances. I find it a tough one to predict. If Matty Smith was playing, I'd probably have gone for St Helens, but he's not. So I'm just going to edge it Leeds in a low-scoring one.
Right.
And I'm going to say Leeds are going to work really hard to play a restrained, tough performance to make up for being so slapdash and weak last year. 14 points to 12 in favour of the Rhinos.
Right, I've gone a different way, but for many of the same reasons. The weather's atrocious at the moment, and it's February, so it's going to be rainy, it's going to be wet, it's going to be slippery underfoot. It's time for a bit of up the jumper rugby league, and what better group of players to do that than a Matty Smithless Enormo pack like you've got at St Helens. They've augmented this off-season with guys like Douglas and other prop forwards coming in from down under. The rest of the team, guys like Amor and who's the big lad Wormsley, they're all ready and raring to go, and I just think it's going to be a relentless forwards battle that St Helens will win, and then they'll be popping the ball out. Never mind on the defensive side of the ball, where in wet slippery conditions it's going to take a team to have that defensive nerve of steel, and I suspect that even without Matty Smith, St Helens are going to be able to do that against a Leeds side who will be tightened up first of all and want to show a good strong defensive start to the season, but ultimately I think on a rainy night a strong pack's going to do you a lot of good, so I'm going for a St Helens win, 28 points to 14. Castleford then, Mark, on Friday night host the Lee Centurions in their first game back in Super League. Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah, and despite weather conditions, I still expect some points from these two sides. It's what they're going to do this year, you would think. I really hope it's as entertaining and enterprising as my expectation of it would be. Certainly, if it was in the eights phase of the competition in late summer, I would be expecting a lot from these two sides. I'm going to give the edge to the home side.